But I'm delighted that we now have Vernon Keenan joining us. He's an industry analyst, he's a speaker, a consultant, and has had 45 years in the technology industry, 15 of that in Salesforce. He's an industry analyst with workdifferentwithai.com. You'll find there articles that are insightful, educational, but also really, really practical. And he's not just talking about and writing about GPT, he's actually been a practitioner since the very beginning. He's built apps and he's built training courses. So if you're a leader and sitting on the fence, not sure what to do, or you're using AI in your organization and you need support from your leaders to make sure that they're embracing AI or anything in between, this is the session for you. So I'm delighted to invite on stage Vernon Keenan.
So just a few words about myself after that awesome introduction from Ian. I've personally experienced most of the technology shifts that we can talk about in my IT career, going all the way back to the early 80s when I was a biomed undergrad at Northwestern University. And right there, I saw how the personal computer and VisiCalc even made a real impact in our survey research work. And I was lucky enough to experience the Macintosh on day one in March 1984 in my position at Northwestern. And it's really got me as a technologist. That's what sparked my interest. And then I started working at Genentech in the 80s, and I got acquainted with Mark Benioff through my affiliations in the journalism community. And I eventually joined Oracle to work for Mark's team just before he left to found Salesforce. I was there when the whole idea about running a database in the sky was formed. That's what we called it before the cloud. And for the last 3 years, I've been publishing a blog as an analyst at salesforcedevops.net. I've recently co-founded an AI community called Work Different with AI. So please follow me on LinkedIn, where I'm very active. You know, I loved Vala's talk, which was replete with references to us being in a transformative age. And I love the comments and questions from our app development hero, Ian Gotts, CEO of Elements Cloud. I hope all of you found it as inspirational as I did when Vala highlighted the need for trailblazers in this transformative age. So in my talk today, I'm going to highlight the fact we're in a disruptive moment in the history of technology and human intellectual work. We're going to see how LLM technology has influenced and empowered many individual creators today. And then we're going to give you some practical advice on what to do next if you're a leader and you're confronted with this technology.
To just sort of put this in perspective, in fact, last summer I was reading Mitchell Waldrop's Dream Machine while I was playing with DV3, as GPT-4 was called then, DaVinci 3. And it just brought in perspective what this is all about. I think that concept of Dream Machine perhaps best communicates what we have really been doing over the last 70 years, right? All the way starting with what Vannevar Bush wrote in his most seminal paper, As We May Think, where he had all these concepts like associative memory, or what Licklider was the first one who even conceptualized the human-computer symbiosis, the mother of all demos that came in '68, to the Xerox Alto, and then, of course, the PDC that I attended, which was the PC Server 1 in '91. '93 is when we had the Mosaic moment. Then there was iPhone and the cloud. And all of these would be one continuous journey. And then, in fact, the other thing I've always loved is Jobs' description of computers as bicycles for the mind. It's sort of a beautiful metaphor. I think it captures the essence of what computing is. But then last November, we got an upgrade, right? We went from the bicycle to the steam engine with the launch of ChatGPT. It was like the Mosaic moment for this generation of the AI platform.
I love the excitement of Satya Nadella, CEO of Microsoft, how he conveys how we are getting closer to information nirvana in the AI platform shift. I think he showed how some researchers have envisioned where we're going, and that might give us a glimpse into the future. The shifts that Satya were discussing weren't just technological advancements. They were revolutions, reshaping our world in profound ways. And at the heart of each revolution was a killer app, an application so transformative, so indispensable that it drove mass adoption of the underlying platform. In the age of PCs, the killer app was VisiCalc. For network PCs, it was Lotus Notes. Who remembers that? And for the internet, the killer app was NCSA Mosaic, or the first web browser. And the killer app for software as a service was Salesforce. That was why people decided that the cloud was good to have. And Amazon created cloud computing by spinning up AWS, which popularized IT infrastructure on the internet as a service. And for smartphones, the App Store made it a universal tool. These killer apps were the catalysts for propelling us into new digital eras, each building upon prior innovations. And today, we stand at the cusp of another such era after a long drought over a decade. Now enter the realm of large language models. These behemoths of artificial intelligence are not just the next incremental step, they're the foundation of a new platform. And driving the adoption, chatbots like Claude, ChatGPT, and Gemini. A conversational chatbot powered by foundational LLMs is the new killer app on the block. Think of them as browsers of this new age. They are the interfaces, the touch points that make vast potential of LLMs accessible and indispensable to millions globally. So why are killer apps so pivotal? Because they bridge the gap between technology and humanity. They take complex, often abstract technological marvels and translate them into tools that solve real, everyday problems. They humanize technology, making it relatable, usable, and more importantly, invaluable. So as we dive deeper today, remember this, we aren't just discussing another technological advancement, we're witnessing history in the making, a moment where mankind takes another step driven by digital dialogues and AI artistry. AI has caught on for a small portion of the workforce. It's all about personal productivity and breaking through barriers thought unbreakable in the past. So let's take a look at Microsoft's Super Bowl ad for CoPilot to see how they see AI helping a new class of creators and innovators.
Good morning.
Watch me.
Just watch me now. Just watch me now. I got something for you, a little more for you. You won't believe your eyes. Just watch me now. I got something for you, a little more for you. You won't believe your eyes. Just watch me now. Just watch me now.
But I think I find it interesting how Microsoft set their sights for the broadest possible audience in that ad. No matter how young, how old, how much you were ignored, all you need is the drive to succeed. Microsoft Copilot could be your path to success, IRL. So I think what that commercial did for me was really highlight the fact that we're in the golden era of personal productivity with AI. So writers, creators, and marketing teams achieve staggering gains in written material output, combining human creative direction with AI generative writing capabilities. And early adopters of using AI for tasks like analysis, research, and documentation describe massive time savings in their workflows, enabling them to focus efforts on higher judgment activities. This next one I can relate to, which is enhanced subject domain expertise. And subject matter experts also use AI to digest, process, and produce customized materials, leveraging their years of accumulated knowledge. I kind of think of these GPTs and the AI assistants as like my graduate students, and I pretend like I'm a professor telling them what to do. It's a lot of fun. And for willing pioneers, AI already drives a personal productivity revolution. The best people in your company are learning how to use these tools just for their own personal productivity and satisfaction. So I think we're talking about governance. We're talking about managing your AI stuff. And there was a very interesting study came out of Salesforce, the Salesforce Global Worker Study, where they conducted extensive research in the promises and pitfalls of AI at work, surveying 1,400 workers around the world in October of 2023. And they found that 28% of the respondents are already using generative AI at work, but half of those are not using it with employer approval. They are doing they're performing their AI work surreptitiously behind the backs of their employers. And this is because there's a lack of AI policies. The survey uncovers critical issue, the absence of clearly defined policies regarding the use of generative AI in the workplace, which leads to more risks and more ethical dilemmas. So also the majority of the workers in the survey did not receive any training, and they have no idea what it means to be using AI for safe and ethical use. So like the rise of shadow IT, which I think we can all remember because that was Salesforce was one of the primary culprits behind that. Shadow GPT describes an emerging reality, unsanctioned yet transformative AI experimentation running ahead of governance. Understanding motivation alongside risk is key. So what's going on? We've got unsanctioned AI use. Employees are innovatively applying public AI tools to enhance productivity without organizational approval. Usage is often against policy, but frequently driven by well-intentioned innovation. This means rather than malicious intent, shadow AI adoption shows people's excitement to harness new tech to amplify their work. Violating policy undermines security and governance. So we have to manage this. And the answer isn't just restriction, it's enabling innovation and safety. So we must craft our policies, balancing permission and protection. So moving on, I think let's get into some of the dark sides of Shadow GPT so you understand it fully. And I think the number one is data security risks, where the unauthorized use of AI tools can expose sensitive corporate and customer data to breaches and leaks. And you don't want your corporate data with customer information being used to train public AI models. So that's pretty much a security nightmare, and this is one of the reasons why people are so concerned about it. And I think that you need to be looking at the data security features of any products you may be looking at to try to bridge the gap here. So, I mean, this is where the Einstein trust layer within Salesforce becomes key. So compliance and legal issues are also a web of different requirements and problems that you need compliance folks to help you get through this. And then beyond operational risks, Shadow GPT also raises questions about unregulated AI usage can lead to bias and hallucinations and other kinds of problems. I just read that today, as a matter of fact, that Air Canada is being fined or as its chatbot made up a discount that didn't exist, and its chatbot offered the discount to a customer. So Air Canada has been required to honor the hallucinations of their chatbot. So that's crazy. So that's another issue that we're dealing with, and it really is full of potential. But since we are dealing with a new platform, new technology, there are risks that you need to manage. So let's dig into what kind of problems you may be having though, if you have a just say no policy when it comes to AI right now. So I think innovation suppression is the greatest risk. At the heart of technological advancement lies a spirit of innovation, an inherent desire to push boundaries and solve problems creatively. Yet, when faced with overly restrictive AI policy, this spirit is dampened. An environment that should thrive on innovation becomes a landscape where creative problem solving is stifled, not because of lack of capability, but due to a framework that inadvertently pushes lack of attention to this new technology. So I think the greatest risk of unmanned shadow GPT, and with a negative perspective on AI, is talent attrition. So we're in an era where technology defines competitive edge. Skilled employees are your most valuable asset. However, when these individuals encounter a workplace that limits their technological exploration, they're often drawn to environments that promise freedom and empowerment. The balance between maintaining control and fostering freedom becomes crucial in retaining this talent. And it can put your company at a competitive disadvantage. The pace at which AI and other technologies are evolving is staggering. If you don't keep up, you could get left behind. The irony of restrictive AI policies is that they often aim to protect, but often result in missed opportunities. AI tools offer significant productivity and efficiency gains, advantages that remain untapped, that could remain untapped due to a cautious approach that borders on counterproductive. And finally, I think if you're telling your employees that you don't think that they should be using AI, I think that can erode the trust contract you have with your folks. So you can erode your employee trust. It's the cornerstone of any thriving organization. Yet when policies become overly restrictive, they sow the seeds of distrust. Employees feel surveilled and undervalued, leading to a culture where secrecy trumps openness and innovation takes a backseat to compliance. Lastly, I think if you have an overly restrictive AI policy, you could be seen as creating a barrier to the growth of individuals within your company. And I think you really have to manage the risk of employee retention and employee satisfaction versus a negative AI policy within your organization. I think that we're going to find more and more that you're going to be doing that. So I think let's look at what you can do now to align your company with AI and start moving in the right direction. So I think the basic thing is to align AI with your business goals. That's the basic part of any kind of strategic planning effort, is to look for alignment. And each AI initiative must directly support your core business objectives. And I think this also gets back to another one of my favorite topics in the DevOps world, which is enterprise value. So you have to know what kind of value streams your enterprise is involved in. How do you produce value for customers, shareholders, employees, and other stakeholders within your company? So I think that that's the number one thing, is to make sure that you have a goal and you have a way to measure your goals, and you have KPIs and things like that you can align AI efforts with. You need to establish ethical AI frameworks. And what an ethical AI framework is really kind of a technical thing where you are looking for bias, and you're also looking for other you're looking to mitigate hallucinations. You're looking to mitigate other types of, you want to make sure you have the right data in there to prime your AI. So I think you need to have a framework for evaluating new technologies, implementing them, and also assuring that you are taking care of these AI guardrails that we need to establish. Next, to address shadow GPT and risk management as a balancing act. The emergence of Shadow GPT highlights the need for proactive risk management. By acknowledging and planning for the risks associated with unsanctioned AI use, we can mitigate potential fallout and guide your teams towards sanctioned and productive AI engagements. And I think we want to promote the ethical use of AI. And this, like I said before, this means embedding bias controls and hallucination reduction into every stage of AI adoption, from conceptualization to deployment, ensuring your AI initiatives benefit not your bottom line, but also your stakeholders, your value stream, and society at large. So what is in an ethical framework? Here's a few details. I think this is one thing that Vala mentioned, and I totally agree with, and is that right now, we're at a stage where human in the loop is required for most generative AI activities. So that means, like, if you're a coder, you're getting stuff out of ChatGPT or GitHub CoPilot, you've got to check it. You've got to make sure it's right. Also, if you're a salesperson and you're generating a sales email out of that, you've got to read the thing and make sure there weren't any mistakes or hallucinations. So we need to, organizations must establish the guardrails and ongoing evaluation, ensuring usage is ethical, unbiased, reliable, and transparent. So like I said, human oversight is the key to this. We need fairness safeguards. We need to proactively assess and mitigate the risks of bias in training data and AI outputs that could disproportionately impact groups based on gender, ethnicity, and age. Okay, sorry about that. And then we also need reliability guarantees. And this is again, it's kind of a technical thing. You need to clearly convey confidence levels and limits inherent to AI systems interacting with customers and staff. You need to set appropriate expectations. You need to use moderation tools to filter out malicious requests. And you need to test underlying LLMs for drift and changes over time. So ethical AI standards now form the constitution guiding your AI deployments. They secure the moral high ground for critical earning public trust in your systems long term. So rather than issue outright bans which force AI experimentation underground, leaders should encourage exploration with clear safeguards and oversight. My favorite way to address something like this is to form a Skunk Works, or what Gartner calls these things fusion teams, which is a small group of interested workers from across functions with your company. Put them together in a designated team with some independence from traditional corporate rules. Find a place for those individuals in your company who want to break the rules and give them some leeway with proper supervision. Now, we need feedback loops on how these AI projects get rolled out. We need to gather user perspective on benefits, risks, and needs. We need to listen to the voice of our employees who are using these things. We need to be really wary of early failures in AI projects, because they're actually fairly common. It's fewer than half AI projects actually succeed when they get rolled out. So I would have that fast fail mentality and start to look at your AI project immediately as soon as it's rolled out and try to evaluate whether it's going in the right direction. And then this kind of usage, the way that you're going to be using AI is going to give you a lot of feedback. And this needs to be written down in terms of policy. So you start with a policy and you're going to get a lot of feedback. I think that you have to anticipate that any kind of policies you have on AI are going to iterate over time, and you're going to be rewriting them fairly frequently because of all of the work that's happening.
We probably, like a lot of people listening to this podcast, had kind of our hey, what the heck are we going to do moment a year or so ago when LLMs really broke through the zeitgeist. And we were looking at the technical breakthroughs and the product launches all over the ecosystem with awe, but also honestly a little bit of overwhelm, in the sense of, well, there's very clearly a real opportunity here to better serve our users, but what is it exactly? and how do we get it off the ground quickly and safely? So it starts with a story of 3 engineers who hacked together in 3 weeks an internal beta for an LLM Explorer. And the basic idea of LLM Explorer was, hey, let's get a ChatGPT-like interface in the hands of the 7,000 talented Stripe employees and really let them figure out how to apply it to their work. Our leaders, all the way up to John and Patrick, have intentionally crafted this strong culture of kind of bottoms-up experimentation. And we think a lot about sustaining it internally as we grow. And with LLMs, it was no different, right? And so where we started was, let's quickly unlock internal experimentation. Let's get LLMs safely in the hands of all employees at Stripe. The enthusiasm was palpable, at Stripe as it was across industry. We knew the experimentation was going to happen. And so we really wanted to make sure that we enabled it to happen well and safely. But there was this opportunity to create more community and sharing in the tool directly so that they could build on each other's work and weren't sort of doing that inside Slack. So a simple example, but shortly after we launched the original tool, we set up this little functionality called presets. And basically just lets you save and share your prompt engineering. Maybe this exists. If not, some startup should go build it for everybody. And then everyone else at Stripe can search and upvote and you see what bubbles to the top. And basically overnight, we had 300 of these reusable LLM interaction patterns. And they ran the gamut, but just an example, thousands of Stripes still today use the Stripe style guide, which basically, I don't care if you're a product marketer writing copy for the website or a sales development rep writing a cold email or you're an exec who's preparing for a meeting, you run your copy or talk track or whatever through this style guide and it returns back to you the same content in Stripe tone.
So, wow, wasn't Emily's story just fantastic? I found it so inspiring to think that they created a prompt engineering platform on their own and they deployed it. Now they've got thousands of people using it almost every day. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking my company could never do that because we're not an elite tech company like Stripe. Well, it doesn't have to be that way. Let's go through some of the challenges you'll meet as you adopt a safe and sane AI governance posture. So you need to deal with technological complexity. You're going to need somebody within your organization who understands how LLMs are built and what it means putting them into practical use. You need to hit that data security and privacy requirements up front. You should be looking for products like Salesforce with the Einstein Trust Layer, or products like ChatGPT Team or Enterprise Edition, which offer corporate sandboxing and assurances your data will not be used for training. Excuse me. And for skills gap and workforce readiness is a huge thing. The major hurdle is preparing your workforce for the AI-driven future. This involves not only training and development, but addressing the anxiety and resistance that comes with change. Investing in training and education for more of your workers, which will spark new interest and acclimation to new technologies. And there are regulatory and compliance issues that we need to be aware of, especially in Europe. They just put out a new regulation framework. In the US, who knows how long that's going to take. But I think that you need to stay ahead of the legal requirements. It's essential for ethical and lawful AI adoption. And I think you're going to want to look for vendors who have compliance kind of built into their online offerings for AI.
So if you were to try and improve productivity at Accenture, wouldn't one way be to use AI to have fewer people do what they do now? In other words, you have some large department that fills out forms, so you think something like that. The AI would much more efficiently be able to do it, so you need half as many people. Is that likely?
So just remember, Gen AI is the latest AI. I've been doing that for a decade. I used to have thousands of people who manually tested computer systems. That essentially went away in 2015. Right? So when my investors ask me, well, when are you going to break the difference between people and technology? I'm saying I've been doing that every year. I literally serve clients and promise that every year I'm going to find 10% more productivity before Gen AI. This is not new, right? This is more powerful than prior versions of technology. It's more accessible. And you didn't hear things like responsible PC. Okay, that wasn't a concept, right? So because it's more powerful, we have to think differently. In 2019, we had 500,000 people. We have 740,000 now. We introduced technology training for everyone, whether you worked in the mailroom, we still have one, in HR or with our clients. And they had to learn basic and past assessments, AI, cloud, data. You know, today, in the next 6 months, we'll train 250,000 people on Gen AI and responsibility. This is basic digital literacy to run a company and to be good. And by the way, public service, massively going to improve social services by bringing this powerful technology. So it is first and foremost, we have to learn what it is so we can talk about it in a balanced way. And then absolutely, there are capabilities that don't exist today in most companies, like responsible AI, where if someone uses AI at Accenture, it's automatically routed, it's assessed for risk, and then mitigations are pointed in, and I can call someone, and I know exactly where AI is used. That will be ubiquitous in 12 to 24 months across responsible companies.
Julie Sweet's got a powerful message worth listening to for all of us. I think of the billions of dollars that Accenture is investing in learning and managing responsible AI. Meeting this watershed moment requires leaders who take the torch of technological progress and hold it high, clearly illuminating AI's possibility for shared growth. So you need to, the vision is you need to see AI's possibilities. You need your leaders to understand what AI can do for them. It's usually best done through personal experience, just using ChatGPT for personal projects. And then as a leader, you need to clearly convey the vision for an AI-powered organization, friendly human-machine collaboration, achieving incredible outcomes. You need to rally your staff around this future. And leading with audacity means to be deliberately bold, fiercely compassionate in your leadership about fusing AI's exponential power with your own enduring human values and aptitudes. So fortune favors the bold. I think you need to take risks, but they have to be managed. So the promises and perils of AI mandate leadership mettle. By uniting hearts and minds and hands around AI ascendance, we emerge stronger no matter what innovations emerge. So let's reflect on what I've been talking about today. I think first I'd like you to recognize the shift. Just like how Satya Nadella pointed out and how we discussed the AI chatbot as the new killer app, we are in the midst of a technological shift we haven't seen for at least a decade. Think about that. You've got at least a third of your workforce then who has never experienced anything like, here's the web, here's mobile, here's SaaS. All these things they're used to it now. So to have a change like this can be disruptive for many folks. We need to make AI literacy and access open to democratize AI and inclusive through skills building, user-friendly tools, and prompt infrastructure like Stripe's LLM Explorer, so all can contribute to your AI-powered future. I suggest you build hybrid teams, which is the fusion team. Train your project teams deliberately blending human strengths like creativity, empathy, and strategy with machine learning. It's all about collaboration. And you need to anchor it all in a genuine trust-building activity between leaders, employees, and technologies like AI. You need to convey good intent, exhibit competence, and show that you're not giving up control. So visionaries turn tension into traction by pursuing solutions respecting all interests. This democratic ethic, signaling faith to your collective capability, makes AI not a threat to be contained, but a tool to enhance teams. So here's my closing thought. Please think carefully about balancing the risk between a restrictive AI policy and having good talent management. Some of your best workers see AI as a way to help them improve themselves and their family. They highly value their access to AI chatbots and other tools. So, at what point does that worker see anti-AI policies as anti-worker? We need to strike a balance that favors the individual in this development.